Hi all, welcome to the Deep Developer YouTube channel. In this video, we will be discussing about Spring Boot stereotype annotation. We will be taking an example of 5-star service or 5-star rating service, and we will be analyzing at the rate component annotation use case, at the rate controller, at the rate service, at the rate repository annotation use case, and we will try to implement same structure as on given on the right side. We will be creating the separate controller class, repository class, service class, and we will try to differentiate how those are interrelated with each other. And this concept is also useful for any type of Java based interview or Spring Boot or Spring based or any backend development interview questions. So let's get started. Before going ahead with the video, I will request you please subscribe to the channel to get videos on Spring Boot microservices, REST API, Java, and lots more concept on backend development. So let's get started. So before explaining all this concept, I will suggest you to go to this Spring Initializer and create a Spring Boot project having the group ID name and only dependency we require called the Spring Web. You can generate this and open on the IntelliJ. So till then, let's understand what is actually means annotations. So the Spring annotations are a form of metadata that provides a data about a program. Those annotations are used to provide the supplemental information about a program, and it does not have a direct effect on the operation of the code that they annotated, or it does not change the action of the compiled program, right? So let's understand about the component annotation first. So component annotation is a class level annotations. Don't worry, we will implement now as far we go ahead each and every concept. So it is a class level annotations and it is used to denote a class as a component. So we can use component annotation across the application to mark the class as a bean. Means the Spring container or the Spring IOC will automatically create the beans or the object having the class mentioned as component. So let's unzip that project we have downloaded and open on IntelliJ. So we see that project is imported called Stereotype. We'll expand it and go to this pom.xml file and do the right click and add as Maven project. So it will import all the dependencies and we'll go to this source file main Java and we'll create a component class and we'll use application context and we'll print some of the functions. So let me create that first. So we have created this product rating component class. Now we see that we have annotated with component and this is having one function called rating functions. Then it is printing 5-star rating scale when 5 means good and 1 means bad. So I will go to this main applications, then I will comment this and I will use application config context and I will create the beans for that. Spring will create the beans and we will call this function. Let me add those code. So if we see that we have created an IOC container called annotation config application context and it will scan the base package where here the base package is the deep developer stereotype, and if you go to this it will refresh means it will in this base package whatever the class having component annotations, then it will create the beans for that. And because we are having product rating component, then we will get the beans and we'll call this function. You can go to this refresh class, and you will get to know details like it is preparing context for replacing, then tell the subclass to replace the internal bean factory, then preparing the bean so that we can use from the context. So I will run the application, and we can see because it is calling test functions and this 5-star rating scale where 5 means good or console on the. So we see that 5-star rating scale where 5 means good, 1 means bad, those are printed because doing this a beans will, or the you can say object will be created named as product rating component, and with this object we are fetching the rating functions. Now let's understand about direct service annotations, and we'll implement that also. So when we specifically mention a class with a direct service, so it indicated that they are holding the business logic. Beside being used in the service layer, there is not any other like special use of these annotations. So we mainly specify that a class is with service annotation means this belongs to the business class. Means if your application have thousands or hundreds of classes, then it will be difficult for you to understand which class having the business logic or the actual business code. So for that, to differentiate, we are using a direct service annotation. Let me create a class called a product rating service. I have created a class called product rating service. I mentioned it with service annotation. So if you click on this annotation like service, so you will get to know everything. And if you just click on this icon, so if you see that the stereotype annotation, these are belongs to this stereotype annotations. Okay, so I will go back, and this rating service having one functions called rating service, and it is taking an input of rating, and it will like print the statement, because here we are mentioning the logic whether the rating is valid or not. And to access that, I will previously we used a product rating component. Instead of that, I will use product rating service, and this from the product rating service we are calling our rating service 4, which will be print as valid rating, and rating service -3, which will print as invalid. So I will run the application. So we see that valid rating is 4 and invalid rating, those two are printed because we have checked with 4 and -3. Now let's understand about other repository annotations. So repository annotation is also a part of like component annotations, which is used to indicate that a class used for storing, retrieving, or updating or deleting operation on the object. So there will be a direct connection with the database when a class is used with @repository. And I will create a repository class. Before that, I will create a product rating class which having three fields like product name, rating, and product ID. Then I will be creating the corresponding repository, and will be creating like a general or the generic repository interface as well. So let me create that, then I will show you. So if you see that I have created a class called product rating with ID, product name, and rating, and the getter setter, and as to string method, and a argument constructor. And we having created a like a demo repository which passes as a generic class, and there is two function called save, will save that records, and it will find a product rating by using the ID. And I have created a rating repository class which is implemented those two functions, and here I mentioned the classes as a @repository, means there will be direct link of the database. So here I am using the in-memory storage, for example map, but instead of that we will be using like MySQL in a real-time applications. So and we are putting that record like ID and product rating, and we are getting this by using ID. So we'll go to this application file, and instead of the previous one, I will place this where I will be get the beans for product rating repository, and I will add a new product like Dell laptop or board speaker with rating 4 and 3, and I will access with find the product rating by ID for the 1. So I will run the application and will see this 1 Dell laptop and 4 that will be printed. If you put this find product rating, so with this get we are getting the details, right? So let me run the application. So we see that product rating 1 Dell laptop and rating 4. So those are printed successfully. Now let's understand about controller annotations. So when we specify any class with controller annotation, that means it indicate a controller class. So it's handle the user request and then return the appropriate response. So it is mostly used when you create a RESTful or the REST web services. So let me create a controller called a product rating controller, and I will create some API called /rating. Let me create that. I have created a class called product rating controller, and it is having a rating API, and it will return a welcome to 5-star rating service. So I will go to this main class stereotype annotations. Then I will remove all of this. This is now not required, and we will just uncomment run method, and I will run it. Then we can see the application will be run successfully, and we can access that controller with /rating API and with port 8080. So we see that application is started on 8080 port. So I will open localhost 8080 and I will type as localhost 8080 /rating. So for that I will go to this Chrome tab, and I will use localhost 8080 /rating, enter. We see welcome to 5-star rating services come. So from the next time onward, so we'll be directly using the controller and the service annotations, the repository annotations. So there will be no confusion on that. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me on the comment section. Thank you for watching the video.